Most people who wreck their financial futures don't do it by being reckless. They do it by being careful. They follow the rules. In fact, falling into the most dangerous financial trap of your life doesn't feel like a mistake at all. It feels like progress. It feels like you're winning. Careful, smart people consistently make one specific mathematical error. They confuse the signal of wealth with the substance of wealth. The signal is the visible proof that you're doing well. The substance is the actual math happening in the background. When you spend your money to perform an arrival at success, you consume the exact resources required to actually arrive. You buy the look of financial freedom at the direct expense of your actual freedom. Over the last 40 years, 4 entirely different generations fell into the exact same mathematical trap. The mechanics never changed. The only thing that changed was the cultural costume that trap wore, depending on the decade it showed up in. For the baby boomer generation coming of age in the post-war era, the rules were completely unanimous. Buying the largest home you could qualify for served as the ultimate physical proof of stability and success. You bought the house, and everything else would figure itself out. On paper, the strategy worked. Property values climbed, and over decades, the equity in those homes often quadrupled, creating massive, undeniable net worth on a spreadsheet. But for a 68-year-old today, that massive home equity is trapped inside 4 walls. You cannot slice off a piece of your roof to buy groceries. Funding a quarter-century of retirement requires liquid cash. Accessing that locked-up wealth means selling the property, packing up, and leaving the neighborhood and community they spent 40 years building. Buying real estate is a solid move. The trap was the belief that a primary residence constituted an entire financial plan, which left liquid investments and diversified retirement accounts completely underfunded. Generation X watched their parents and decided to earn more, and they succeeded. They entered a booming white-collar corporate environment, embraced the dual-income household, and aggressively climbed the ladder, out-earning previous generations by a wide margin. But alongside that income growth, something stealthy happened. Every promotion, every raise, and every bonus was justified as a hard-earned reward, and those rewards were immediately consumed by upgrades: a slightly nicer car, a bigger house, a premium gym membership, an overseas vacation. This chart tracks income against expenses over a career. When your cost of living grows at the exact same rate as your paycheck, the mathematical gap between them stays completely flat. Your actual wealth-building capacity doesn't move, even as the numbers get larger. This leaves a 52-year-old executive with a 6-figure salary, 20 years of continuous high earning, and a retirement account completely incapable of supporting the expensive lifestyle they've built around themselves. They successfully funded the signal of wealth on direct debit every single month, but neglected to fund the underlying escape route. Millennials entered adulthood facing a math equation that was broken. The 2008 financial crisis wiped out early career momentum. Housing prices detached from wages, and the traditional markers of financial independence became mathematically unreachable for millions. Since real equity was locked away, an entire cultural movement swooped in with an alternative. The message was relentless. Spend your money on experiences rather than things. Collect moments, travel the world, live your life right now. It sounds enlightened until you run the numbers a decade later. Substituting asset building with memory building leaves a 38-year-old with a full passport and incredible stories, but zero compounding interest and a persistent, vague anxiety about the future. Experiences have genuine human value, but for an entire demographic, they became a culturally sanctioned costume. They provided a way to look fulfilled and successful in the moment, while masking the failure to achieve actual financial security. You would think Generation Z would avoid this entirely. They are the most financially literate generation in history, absorbing finance content and discussing index funds before they even turn 20. But their version of the trap is the most visible one ever invented. Instead of a house or a passport, their arrival signal is a perfectly curated aesthetic. It's the tech setup and the flawless outfit, broadcasted to internet strangers to perform the look of success. This ratio shows a $50 monthly investment set against a $200 aesthetic budget. One side compounds, the other just performs. When the math is 4-1 against you, the vocabulary of investing doesn't matter because the spending habits are winning the war. They possess the right vocabulary, but they use the language of wealth building to perform financial awareness online, while their actual spending quietly contradicts the math required to get there. Escape is possible. In every generation, there are outliers who recognize the trap and deliberately stepped around it. And when you look at how they did it, the method is identical. They made a highly uncomfortable psychological choice. They decided they were willing to look less wealthy than they actually were. They accepted the older car and the smaller apartment, allowing their true wealth to grow in silence, invisible to everyone else. Assets first, lifestyle second. This isn't about deprioritizing your life forever. It's about waiting until the compounding assets are doing enough work to pay for the costume themselves without touching the paycheck. Which version of the trap are you sitting in right now? Honestly, identifying the signal you're paying for is the only way to stop. Because the moment you stop funding the performance is the exact moment you finally start building the substance.